and I am the president of the Michigan Women's Golf Association. It is my honor to be the MC for this auspicious occasion to honor these extraordinary 9 individuals. Election to the Michigan Women's Golf Association's Hall of Fame is a unique honor bestowed upon those individuals who have demonstrated outstanding achievement, leadership, professionalism, good character, and the highest standards of conduct associated with the extraordinary game of golf. These individuals contributed greatly to the tradition, the strength, and ongoing success of golf in the state of Michigan. A special thanks to Pat Myers, whose vision and financial support during our 30th anniversary. Somebody asked me, how old is your organization? This is year 31. So with that, it was Pat Myers' vision and financial support last year that led to the creation of this Hall of Fame. Pat, would you please come forward? We would like to present you with this lovely memento for all that you've done for the organization and continue to do.
Well, thank you very much. Well, as Francine indicated, a couple of years ago, in a request from Francine for MWGA input and ideas for the future, I sent a letter to her proposing the creation of the MWGA Hall of Fame. It's great that we now have a virtual Hall of Fame to honor individuals who have been instrumental in the success of the MWGA through their playing accomplishments on the golf course, as well as distinguished service and support of our organization. Congratulations to all of the 2017 inductees into the MWGA Hall of Fame.
So, thank you so much, Pat. This year we are inducting our 2nd class of honorees. Last year we inducted our initial class, which was Sarah Wall. Please join me in congratulating Sarah for all the hard work that she has done, continues to do, and I can see doing so in the future. She has contributed in the past, and her leadership as the chairperson of getting this Hall of Fame committee going, the website up, the nominees nominated, elected, the dinner, and today's state championship. Please join me in thanking and congratulating Sarah.
And we are here with the Michigan Hall of Fame inductees, one of which is Janina Jacobs. We congratulate you today, Janina, on being here and being inducted.
Thank you so much, Phyllis. It's such an honor I can't even begin to tell you. And yet you're right, this place is a very picturesque and scenic spot to have this. I've always liked Eagle Crest out here at EMU, so I used to play some golf out here with Bruce Cunningham, and I don't know if he's still the pro or the golf coach, but we had some good times out here.
Well, Janina, you have been playing since you were 7, right?
That's correct. I was a product of the Detroit Free Press Junior Golf School. I get all the Detroit City golf courses. My dad taught my 3 brothers and me how to play, and something so significant is the fact back in the 60s, girls really didn't play golf that much. And so thank God my dad didn't believe that he was going to teach me to play just as much as he was going to teach my brothers to play. So I was the beneficiary of that. So thank you, Dad, for being so enlightened.
No, you're absolutely right, Janina. I know back in the day, my dad took my brother out, but he didn't take me. And I do have his clubs, and I learned how to play on his clubs. So you make a good point, and which brings us to the next question as to why do you think women should get involved in the game?
I think golf does such a great job of putting women where they need to be as far as in the business world. I've found, and I've been, by the time I was maybe 12, 13 years old, I was shooting in the 70s. And no, that's not for 9 holes. I'll get that sometimes, and I have to learn to pace
That's
myself.
not how old you are.
No, no, I'm 61. I don't mind telling my age because they're going to find it out on Google anyway. So, but I find that golf, because I was able to play well at a young age, but that's because I was taught properly. And that's one of the messages I think women need to understand is you really don't normally want to learn from your boyfriend or your husband or your best friend or somebody who doesn't know what they're playing. My dad was a very, very top, he was like a +2 handicap. So he was a great player, not a professional, could have been, but he chose to raise a family instead and work for the Detroit Fire Department. But we learned properly. And that's probably the biggest reason I think that there's a statistic that I often quote that really has not changed too much over the 30, 40 years that I've been writing. I do a lot of golf and travel writing, as you do too. And that is, and it's a very odd statistic, and that's about, of all new golfers who take up the game, 45, 48% of them are women. So you would say, well, if that's the case, then how come the golfing public and the golfing percentages isn't more like 30 to 40% at least of women? And there's a real good reason for that. And that's because the statistic that you don't hear is that out of all the women who take up the game, after 1 to 2 years, 75% get out of it. The attrition rate is very high.
And Janina, we were talking earlier, you did write an article about that, and I think it was called Women, Where Are We?
Women, Where Are You? And yet you're exactly right. And I also do some speaking on that topic as well. And in fact, I spoke to the Michigan Golf Course Owners Association about that. And I gave all the reasons as to why that happens. And part of it, as I just had mentioned earlier, is that when women learn to play the game, sometimes they learn in a male-oriented environment. And one thing I've tried to get across to professionals is that you cannot teach women the way you teach men. It doesn't work. And you've got women's golf schools, you've got men's golf schools, and you have to take a whole different mindset. Women like to learn in groups. They don't like to come out by themselves. They don't like the golf marathons where, I mean, I might, because I'm a hardcore golfer, but I might go play 36 holes a day, but you won't have the women that want to go out and practice and play 36 holes a day. It's too much. Right. They might want to play 9 holes. They might want to spend an hour on the range, might want to putt.
Go to the spa.
Go shopping, those kinds of things, which is good for the resorts and the golf clubs because then they spend money. And women do spend money if they're taken care of and they are thought of instead of as an afterthought or a second banana. So I think that the golf industry really needs to take a look at how you're teaching the women. They know they're not in their element. The guys, they'll go out, they all think they're good anyway, so they go out and play, and even if they shoot 110 or 120, they think, oh, I'm good, it's fine. But the women, they're more conscientious about it. And the funny thing is that most women, they will take the lessons. Right. They will go practice. They will become better. They will listen to what the pro says. Instead of a lot of times guys will, well, that pro doesn't know what he's talking about. I'm just going to go get a new driver and that'll take care of it. So,
it's always about the equipment.
It's always about the equipment. Yeah, in more ways than one, huh? Do we have to cut that? Yeah. Anyway.
Well, Janina, tell us, now that you've brought up all those points, tell us how the Michigan Women's Golf Association can really encourage and help women get involved in the game, taking lessons and some of the other things that you mentioned.
Well, one thing, Phyllis, that I have to say about the Michigan Women's Golf Association is that they have always been visionaries and at the forefront of not where we are right now, but where we need to be. And I've been very proud to be part of that. I wasn't a founder. I came in maybe a year or two later. But they have done things, for example, like supporting events, supporting the Golf Hall of Fame, putting their money where their mouth is. So anything that's gone on with the Golf Association of Michigan, we became a member of the Golf Association, and that wasn't always the case because I think that used to be private clubs and then it expanded. And then we are an association, official association of GAM. And so we have always tried to be on the forefront of doing things creatively to get more women involved with the game, including creating junior girls golf programs. When Golf for Women magazine was around, which I had written for back in the day, the association did receive an award, a leadership award, and I believe it was in 1996 that they got for their excellence as a golf association. So they won a national award. So the country realizes it. We were always very active in the Michigan women's. Well, let me backtrack. It was a USGA event, the Women's Amateur Public Links Championship. Unfortunately, it is now defunct. It went from 1977, I remember that because I played in the first one, all the way to, I think it ended maybe about 4 years ago when the USGA felt that having a tournament solely for public players wasn't really necessary anymore because they could play in anything they wanted to. But while that was happening, those 35 years or however long it was, excuse me, the Women's Golf Association here made it a priority to be well represented. And what they did, in fact, we sort of got in trouble with the USGA, but not really. We would ask so many women to turn out for the qualifiers, to turn in their entry blanks, play in the qualifiers, because the more women that you had play in the sectional qualifiers, the more qualifying spots you got. So for a number of years, when I played in all of those, I think I played in something like 18 or 19 national championships for the WAPL. We had the highest number of qualifiers.
It's a numbers game.
15, 16, 17, all that. And what that was, though, was there were women who played who knew that the chances of them qualifying were slim and none. But they didn't care because they thought, you know what, I'm going to support the tournament. And at that time, any extra money that was raised went directly to the expenses of those who were going. Right. So quite often when we went to the nationals, we were pretty well funded so that very little came out of our pocket, and a lot of us didn't have a whole lot of money, and you got college kids playing and that. So it was, the association did some really, really great things with supporting that. So, and then we just came up with the Legacy event here a few years ago where we honored three, what did we call them? Not founding members, but the one we had at Travis Point. I think when we honored Shirley Spork, Mary Fossum, and Betty Richard. Yes. They were three legacy members of the Golf in Michigan. So we thought they haven't been honored. Let's honor them. So we did that. Then we celebrated the 100th anniversary of the Michigan Women's State Amateur last year. So the Michigan Women's Golf Association was part of that. We're part of the Golf Hall of Fame. We're now on the board of that to determine, because this is the Michigan Women's Golf Hall of Fame, and then there's also the Michigan Golf Hall of Fame. But one of the reasons I think that this event has happened is because sometimes the state organization that honors men and women, not saying we're discriminated against, I'm not going to say that, but we felt that we wanted to honor our women in our own way. And it's ironic, too, that one of our honorees today is my good friend Jack Barry, who I knew back when I was 7 years old.
He did mention you, and yes.
Yes, because he came to our house one day to do a story on my family as kind of like a golfing family of the 60s and 70s. So I knew Jack when I was just a little pea-jib. And so it's just wonderful to be inducted along with him. And that's a great thing that the Hall of Fame here has decided to honor men as well as women, because I've always been a fan of that.
Well, I think it's great because Jack, we were teasing him, he's like 1 out of 9, one man out of, 8 other women.
The token male, yeah. But I guess there's some Women's Hall of Fame that wouldn't even have any men in it. And we couldn't have a better representative because, as maybe some of the other women have said, Jack has been such a champion of women's golf, and I can testify to that because let's see, age 7, I'm 61, I've known him 54 years.
Right.
And all of that time and all of the things I've done, all of the tournaments and the advocacy roles I've played, the boards I've been on, the ratings issues, all sorts of things, he has always been right there. Janina, tell me what's going on. Tell me what I can do to help. Give me the story. And in fact, I don't know if anyone has mentioned this or not, but at one time the Women's Michigan State Amateur was a closed championship,
Yes.
meaning that only private club members could play in that.
Yeah, I think Betty shared that story with us.
And Jack always had a problem with that. In fact, I would have never played in the state am because I didn't belong to a club until way later on in my late 20s. Jack was instrumental in getting that rule changed so that it was a totally open tournament, that you didn't have to have a special invitation or you didn't have to be a member of a club to play, which is really what a state amateur should be. So Jack's my hero. I just love him.
Well, he loves you too. Well, Janina,
Collaboration Society, yes.
well, we thank you so much for being with us here today, and congratulations on being inducted into the Michigan Women's Golf Hall of Fame.
Thank you so much, Phyllis. I'm very, very honored to be a part of this today.